Mr. Palagi, how are you, sir?
Hi, Pam.
Hello. Craig should be on momentarily. Eddie Williams will be here. Tony is on vacation. I didn't know that.
Hi, Larry. Vacation is a good place to be.
Yeah.
I hear you.
So Pam, you said Craig will join shortly?
Yeah, we sent the link.
Hey, Craig.
Hi, Pam.
There's Craig.
Craig, could you rename yourself after you
Why?
unmute yourself?
But
Oh,
you,
he's me.
Pam
I
Griffin.
sent him the link.
It's your clone.
He's in, yeah. Eddie Williams is going to be me too, because that's what I sent him. Actually, that's the link I sent everybody, so.
I think that happened to me the first time too. I'm like, uh-oh.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with the name. I'm just saying, you know.
Mhm.
You have more here than I do.
IA?
Well,
I have more hair than all three of you.
Oh, we got Reggie.
Hi, Reggie. You're muted.
I'm unmuted.
You're unmuted.
All right.
Where were all our, applicants?
Oh, you what?
Well, they won't come in until I hit record,
Oh,
and then they'll come in as,
because there's no attendees on here yet.
right. That
Oh.
won't happen until I hit the,
I thought they were just,
Rob?
you are recording.
well, no. I mean, until I hit broadcast, I'm sorry.
Okay, so are you going to make an opening statement, or do I begin with the published opening statement?
Please begin with the published opening statement.
Okay, well, you tell me when.
When?
Reggie,
All
you're not
right,
in the car.
we
Huh?
are broadcasting.
I said, you're not in the car.
I know.
Attendees are now coming in.
I don't know who George is, so.
Just accidentally closed the file.
Why is
There we are.
There's a third Pam Gurley in the room.
Yeah, that would be, Ed, can you rename yourself?
I'm doing it right now.
The easiest thing for me to do was give you mine, and mine is,
Ed, you're muted. You're muted, Ed.
Could you correct my last name, Rob?
Oh, crap, sorry.
I'm back.
There you are. Hi, Ed.
P
A
E
lot of
N,
people might be muted.
there's
P-I-N-A.
no. P-I-N-A. Sorry about that.
Mr. May, do I have a second to get a glass of, well, no, I'm fine. Never mind. I'm good.
No. Okay, we are all here and the attendees are arriving. Bob, would you read the statement and let's get this underway.
Very good. All right, well, this is a regular meeting of the Brockton Planning Board. This is Wednesday, September the 2nd, 2020, and I'm about to read a prepared statement. I am calling this September the 2nd, 2020 meeting of the Brockton Planning Board to order. My name is Bob Pelagi, and I am the chair of the board. This meeting is being recorded. In accordance with the governor's order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law, general law, chapter 38, section 20, relating to the 2020 novel coronavirus outbreak emergency. The September 2nd, 2020 public meeting of the Brockton Planning Board shall be physically closed to the public to avoid group congregation. Real-time participation and comment can be addressed to the planning board utilizing the Zoom virtual meeting software for remote access. This application will allow users to view the meeting and to send a comment or question to the chair via the question and answer function. Submitted text comments will be read into the record at the appropriate points in the meeting. For those of you joining us by phone who want to ask a question, press *9 to raise your hand. A copy of the recording and transcript will be posted to the city's webpage within 72 hours. All votes will be done via roll call to ensure count accuracy. Quorum call, board members, please respond in the affirmative to indicate your attendance at this meeting. Bob Pelagi, present. Craig Pina,
Present.
Reggie Thomas,
Present.
Tony Gonzalez is not present. Larry Hassan.
Present.
Okay, we have 4 voting members out of 5, so we declare a quorum in place. Very good. So let's move on to tonight's agenda. So administratively, we got acceptance of the minutes of the 0813 meeting and the 0721 meeting that was held in executive session. Under endorsement of A&R plans and subdivision plans and lot releases, we have lot releases for lots 10 and 11 Lynn Marie Drive, that's Curtin Farms. It looks like we've lost one A&R. We've got Cardinale Plaza at Oak Street for an A&R endorsement. 490 Forest Avenue has been, what did you say, Pam, withdrawn, I guess?
it's been withdrawn, yes.
Wonderful. Okay. So our agenda items for this evening are, first agenda item is permission to return to the zoning board of appeals of properties at 912 Crescent Street. The zoning board denial was July the 14th. The applicant is KG Collectives. Second agenda items, permission to the zoning board of appeals of properties at 1208 Montello Street. The denial was February the 11th, 2020. Applicant is Peter Harrison. That has been postponed until October the 6th, 2020. Third item is a definitive subdivision previously approved November the 8th, 2017. It's property Lot B, Charlotte Street. It's a one, well, it's actually, it's a one, isn't it 2 lots? I think it's 2 lot subdivision, but
It was 2 lots, but he's already been sold off one of the lots. He sold off the house, so.
okay, but the plan before us is not a two lot plan though, technically, whatever. Anyway, that's A American Investments. That's on for this evening. The fourth agenda item is property at map 37, that's plots 4, 6, and 18 Augusta Avenue, and plot 36 Prospect Street. That's an 18-lot residential subdivision, and that has been postponed, correct, Pam, till next month? Is that the idea?
Yes.
Postponed till October 6th, it says, I'm sorry. Next agenda item is definitive subdivision, 2-lot subdivision, Belgravia. It's a, pardon me, plot 2, Belgravia Avenue. It's a 4-lot residential subdivision, Silver Engineering. That has been postponed until October the 6th. Sixth item is a definitive subdivision. Properties at 678 East Street. It's a 2-lot subdivision. That's Benjamin Carroll is the applicant, and Munden Engineering is the representative. Item 7 is a definitive subdivision. It's property at 496 North Carey Street. It's a 2-lot residential subdivision. CLM Development, J.K. Holmgren is the representative. Number 8 is a preliminary subdivision. It's property at 134 Armiston Street. It's a 6-lot residential subdivision. Robert Kane is the applicant, and Attorney James Burke is the representative. That is postponed till October the 6th. Item 9 is a preliminary subdivision plan. It's property at 70 Bank Street, proposed 2-lot residential subdivision. Jarrison Barros is the,
My mistake.
I'm sorry, what?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Right.
Go ahead. sir.
Jarrison Barros is the applicant. Outback Engineering is the representative. Item 10 is a preliminary subdivision, 21 Union Street, a 2-lot residential subdivision. J.K. Holmgren is the representative. Item 11 is preliminary subdivision, properties at 49 Keswick Road. It's a 3-lot residential subdivision. The representative is Attorney Matthew Costa. And the 12th agenda item is executive session, discussing executive session, an open meeting law complaint filed against the City of Brockton Planning Board. And just for the record, once this item has been, we will go in at that time when the appropriate time comes, we will go into an executive session. Once our discussion is complete, the meeting will adjourn, our evening meeting will adjourn while in executive session. A lengthy agenda, to be sure. So has everybody had an opportunity to read the minutes of 07/21/20 executive session, 08/13/20?
Yes, motion to accept the minutes as presented.
Well, first of all, are there any comments, corrections, or suggestions?
No.
Hearing none, is there a motion?
Yes,
Okay, the motion made, is there a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, let's see, I got a roll call. Motion made and seconded. Craig Pina,
yes,
Reggie Thomas,
Yes.
Larry Hassan,
Yes.
Bob Pelagi, a yes. Minutes have been accepted. Pam, do you want to take those now? I guess we've only got down to what, a couple of things.
Just 2. Yep.
Okay, so can you just give us a little background on the lot releases, Lynn Marie Drive?
Okay, Scott Burgess is the contractor developer of this. He has asked for these 2 lots so that all the houses that are being built will fall in order. I want to point out to you that with the release of those 2 lots, what you're holding is 2 lots. So he still has sidewalks, he still has curbing, he still has top coat
Okay, all right.
to
So,
finish. The price of the lots is probably, with the way property is going, sufficient. If you noticed in your Google files, the information was there on how much it's going to cost to finish the rest of the work.
all right, so just for clarity, if we release the 2 lots, there'll be enough in surety, that there'll be enough in real property to offset any cost to finish the project.
And I did explain to him that if he does get both of these lots,
He either has to finish, he can't, he's either.
that you would not be releasing anything else without cash.
While finishing the work, yeah.
Right, but I doubt he would want to finish the work.
Okay, well, on that, any discussion? Is there a
No.
motion to release?
Motion to release?
Second?
Okay.
Okay, motion has been made and seconded. Roll call. Craig Peanut,
Yes.
Reggie Thomas,
Yes.
Larry Hassan,
Yes.
Bob Pelagi, yes. Lots of release. Okay, now we've got a, what is it? We're down to that,
One A&R, and that's,
at the Cardinale Plaza. They're just doing some reconfiguration there. I looked over the plan. I think the plan is fine. He's just moving a lot line, it looks to me.
yes,
Somewhere in the vicinity of Frank's, you know, the Frank's restaurant there, so I don't have an issue with it. Motion?
Mr. Pelagi,
Yes, sir.
I was just curious, looking at that, it looks like they're taking over the old cinema lot and giving it to Cardinal Plaza. Over the years, there's been dozens of zoning variances given up there due to parking and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Just wondering if anybody's looked at all the zoning variances and seeing if this affects any of the variances given to the other lots up there that are all owned by the same owner.
I would have to say that I myself did not.
They're also looking at the city assessors map. There seems to be missing off that plan.
Say it again.
Looking at the city assessors records,
Yeah,
there's I think it was a sewer easement that was missing off that plan.
that what services it possibly services the rear building or something?
I think it's a main sewer line going down to the plant.
Well, that's important.
Um,
Well, those both items are actually important. Yeah, there was, I'm sure there was a lot of cross easements and things that were granted over the years.
So
Yeah,
looking at it, where the cinema used to be, there's an easement that goes all the way out to the corner of Oak and North Pearl Streets and comes down to Reynolds, comes down to the back of Oak Street, which is the rear of the old cinema.
yes.
And then that goes out through some property to the intersection of North Pearl and Oak. And I think it may have some water or sewer lines in there.
Okay. You mean in the form of easements crossing through the property?
Yeah. I think when I looked at it, it said a sewer or water easement.
I noticed.
I'm sorry, it's a drain easement.
Yep, I noticed he does have one existing sewer easement on the property indicated.
Right.
That's in,
And the other one is perpendicular to that. Not yeah, I guess perpendicular to that. It crosses.
well, those two issues are important, that's for sure, because I know that there's been a number of easements that were granted up there for various parking issues, and I, now that you mention, I didn't have the benefit of looking at the assessor sheet, but it wouldn't surprise me if there was some additional utility easements running through there. I mean, those are important issues. I mean, what we could do is we could have the plan, we could explain, is the applicant on, Rob, or not?
I think it might be Jim.
would be Attorney
Hello?
Burke with his hand up.
Let me promote him. Mr. Burke should be joining us.
He's got,
You're muted at the moment,
Attorney
Mr.
Burke,
Burke.
you're muted. You got it. You're still.
Jim, you need to unmute your mic.
Oh, I think I got it now.
Okay,
Thank you very much. Technology is putting me away. I'm
it's a
sorry.
marvelous thing, isn't it?
Well, thank you, Chief, for pointing that out. But I guess I'm not used to appearing on Form As, as Mr. Pelagi probably knows. This is an engineering perspective. And Mr. Pilling prepared the plan. And obviously, he's a licensed engineer, and you're going to assume that when he signs a plan, that it's in accordance with all engineering regulations. I would suggest, I think the questions that the chief is raising is not on the Form A lot, but on the remaining parcel, which becomes really irrelevant to the A&R plan. I'd also suggest that even if you approve the A&R plan, you're not, in fact, automatically separating the parcel. So if there are any zoning issues to be looked at before the property was conveyed to another entity, that would be the time to do it. You're not affecting any prior variances, since the property ownership is not changing by the granting of the A&R. So I would suggest, I don't think there's anything that prevents you from approving the A&R. I guess maybe the issues that are raised by the chief are very relevant, but it's up to the owner to pursue them with the engineer and otherwise, to determine whether, if there are next steps, he needs to be taking all of those things in consideration.
Do you know, would you happen to know, Attorney Burke, I mean, I would make the same loose assumption myself, but do you know, are all of the existing buildings shown to the best of your knowledge? Are all the
Yes.
buildings shown? So
No.
what would now become parcel 2 has no buildings?
That's correct. Parcel 2, that's actually the old cinema, I believe.
Let's see.
Be sure.
Yeah, it appears that the sewer easement actually would have connected directly to the old cinema.
I think the old cinema looks like, well, maybe so.
There is a Google map
Mr.
drawing of that site in your online.
Parcel 2 is where the old cinema was, sir.
Okay, parcel 2 is that building been raised?
Yes,
Yes.
it has.
That's-
Oh, yeah.
That's vacant, or rather
Empty
vacant
lot.
land.
Empty lot.
So that gift certificate I have is no good?
You are lost.
To Sac Cinema?
We were looking for the movie Patton from 1970.
Yeah, that one there. Okay, well, thank you. Well, what we can do then is, if actually what's been done here is that the parcel 1 has actually been reduced in size, which increases parcel 2. If there's a sewer easement that runs through there, and that's a good point, it really should be shown on the plan. What we could do is we could conditionally approve it and bring it to Mr. Pilling's attention. I'd like to know the answer to that. I think it's a fair point. We could go ahead and conditionally approve the plan. I think, Mr. May, please.
Unfortunately, this is a A&R plan, so our choices are either yes, it is a subdivision and needs to go through the full subdivision process, or no, it is not a subdivision by mass law and can be approved without going through the subdivision process. So we don't get to put conditions on it.
An A&R doesn't get a conditional approval. does it? Well, we gave that a try.
At this point, it seems like that he's just redrawing a lot line on two plots that he
Yep.
owns himself. I don't see how it affects what we need to approve right now.
Right, I agree.
Well, I mean, the issue of let's see, well, give me 1 second. So if he's.
Can I ask, of the attendees, someone has raised their hand, it's identified as 037797. Are you associated with this property? Mr. Burke, does that look familiar to you? I'm going to promote him for just a second. Are you associated with that property, sir?
He's muted.
Needs to be unmuted.
Mr. Burke, does that look like your client?
I'm sorry. I was late to the meeting and unlike a few others, I am not technology savvy. I did not mean to
That's
hit.
okay.
Sorry.
Not a problem. Thank you very much.
All right. Okay. Well, I think we can, let's try not to belabor this thing, but if something, is his intention, Attorney Burke, is his intention to convey one or more of these parcels?
It may be his intention. There's no firm commitment to do that right now, but
Okay.
it may be one of his intentions, yes.
Okay, so, but it would be, I mean, in doing that, that's the instrument that's going to be used when it's going to be conveyed. You know, I don't mean to belabor this. It would be nice if those, I'm sure a good title examiner would uncover any easements or any variances that were granted relative to parking and so forth. It would be nice to show on there if it isn't on there, but there's no way that we could go forward and endorse it or conditionally do it because it's a form, because it's an A&R. Is that correct, Mr. May?
That is my understanding of it.
Yeah. Is he-
Well,
this-
if
can
I
this-
may, Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
I'm just not sure how you don't approve it. The lot itself.
I know the time clock is running. Okay, well, yeah, we either have to approve it or deny it. All right, well,
They can make,
without having firm knowledge that we're missing easements, and I don't know that we are, that we're missing, I think those are two good points that were raised, but I didn't have the time or the ability to research that, so I don't know. I can't answer that, and I don't know that there's the substance here to hold it up, so. Anybody, any other board members have a thought? Okay, well, what's the pleasure of the board? Someone like to make a motion?
Motion to approve?
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, roll call vote. Craig Pina,
Yes.
Reggie Thomas,
Yes.
Larry Hassan,
Yes.
Bob Pelagi, yes. Okay, so moved.
okay.
I am going to ask that the people who are here to speak about the next case, which is 912 Crescent Avenue. It's returned to ZBA. It's KG Collectives. If you are here to speak about that, would you please raise your hand so that I can move you into the position where you can speak. I've got you, Richard.
The chair,
Yes,
you have an extremely long agenda,
yes.
so
Are you suggesting that we pick it up?
yes, could you pick up the pace a little?
Any other attendees who would like to speak about 912 Crescent Avenue, KG Collective, return to ZBA?
All right. Okay, so the next agenda item is Commissioner return to the Zoning Board of Appeals, 912 Crescent Street. The zoning denial was July the 14th. It's KG Collectives, and we have a request to return. So is the applicant with us?
Yes.
All right, good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, if I may speak, Attorney Richard Stady.
Yes, Mr. Stady.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Thank you, Attorney.
Very quickly, Mr. Chairman, I want to thank you or the board for the luck of having us on early. I had a very long night in the election, which went well, but I'm glad to be here tonight, back again with KG Collective. The purpose of our meeting here this evening is to request permission for a rehearing. We presented an application, and the applicant did present the materials that the zoning board cited that were missing. Most notably, and included in the materials submitted, was a copy of the host agreement, a listing of the abutters, and a certified list of the abutters was also included, a copy of the community outreach agreement, and I believe also the copy of the MLC. There were other items that were attached, and I think they were provided for your board's review. Basically, Mr. Chairman, we had a hearing with the zoning board, goes back about a couple of months ago. It did not do well. The most important thing was that they cited things were missing and they could not act appropriately. They did also cite, which isn't relevant for tonight, but some discrepancies on the plans. And I know Mr. Pena is here, and I know that that's probably a concern of his as well. We are addressing that, and we'll be addressing that moving forward. But for tonight, as far as the grounds for a rehearing, we have submitted, I think, to satisfy your requirement, a copy, as I said, the abutters list, the MLC, the host agreement, the community notice agreement was in the paper, and other materials that were requested. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, and I wasn't at that hearing, but we're all in receipt of a copy of the zoning board's decision. And there were basically four items that were mentioned in the decision. It was the host agreement, the context map, which is required for every one of these the marijuana applications, a narrative pertaining to the operation security measures, and most importantly, there were most of the zoning board's written decision was addressing several parking deficiencies that the zoning board had pointed out. And I only see, the only thing that was in the packet that I saw was the host agreement. Thank you very much. And then Pam sent to me, or distributed to everybody, the narrative for the operation and pertaining to the operations and security measures. But those other two items are extremely important,
Right.
and they really need to be part of the package, Mr. Stady. So the context map is the one that shows, the scaled map that shows the relative area that demonstrates that there are no other competing facilities in the area. And then you had, again, just looking at the zoning board's decision, there were just a whole host of parking issues. Maybe Mr. Pena could speak.
Well, if I could, Mr. Chairman,
Yep.
With all due respect, we were told not to submit plans. We were told that wasn't required, so we did not do that. I have a copy of the email and directive that said, do not provide plans. However, as I'm pointing out to you, before we go forward to the zoning board and before we go forward back to you, we are going to address that. We are going to put in the loading bay. There was also a question about landscaping. I know there was some questioning on some fencing. All the things that were on that list are going to be addressed by an engineer or a landscape surveyor, and those will be attended to as well. The context map, I believe the zoning board, Mr. Pena can correct me, cited the fact that we did not identify the educational institutions within a certain range, I believe. And again, that will be addressed. I didn't think we had to present it tonight. And I'll tell you, truthfully, I was off this case. I'm running for office, and that was one of my reasons why I was off the case. I just joined back in. They asked me if I could get back involved with them. Michael perhaps can show you those things if you want. He's got the context map. But the other plans, as far as parking, we were told not to present them, and that's truth. So.
Well, you need, Attorney
Mr.
Stady-
Chair, can I just, so our initial conversation relative to their immediate denial was, yes, that they were going to refile. There was no point in refiling plans because the reason for their denial was they had an insufficient application. And they were going to, that was how they were going to return in stating that they were just going to provide all the information.
To be completely honest, I don't recall a lot of conversation around the parking issue. The conversation was around the lack of a comprehensive security plan that was presented. All we were presented at the zoning board at the time was the schematic of where the cameras will be located. What I see here is the comprehensive security plan and the host community agreement, which again, that also wasn't included. For me, and from what I saw at the ZBA a couple months ago, this is enough of a change to pass it back to the ZBA.
Okay, great. That's what we were hoping for.
So
The
you,
other thing, we'll definitely address the other things.
are you saying that you have a context map?
Yes, I have a copy of a context map that I can share with you this evening. We're just waiting.
Okay, just typically, and I'm not picking on this case, when someone comes back to the planning board to be sent back to the zoning board of appeals, one of the things that we do is we read the zoning board's decision. You were denied for a reason. So what we do is we read the decision, and then when you come back before us, we kind of go down the written decision. You can, it's a very lengthy decision that the chairman, zoning board chairman wrote, and we use that as our guideline to make the decision as to whether or not to send you back. We're not in any way, we're not looking to delay you or deny you, but you don't have, or at least I haven't seen what you're looking for. Again, the biggest percentage of the chairman's written decision addresses parking. It addresses a lot of parking issues. Now you can say, well, you don't have it for this meeting, but if you don't have it, it's just a process. You need to have this material to go forward. What I think would be appropriate, we certainly don't want to deny you, because to deny you means that you're going to be denied for, I think it's another year. What do they get 2 applications to return, Bob? Rob?
2 bites at this apple.
Okay, so the things that we're looking for tonight isn't things that we want. The things that we're looking for tonight are the things that the zoning board denied you on. The zoning board is going to look for those. They're going to pick up their very own sheets and say, where is the stuff? So if you're going to do it for them, as a suggestion, I don't want to delay you or deny you, but you need to have this material. So you need to read the zoning's decision in detail. My personal feeling is we could as a suggestion, we could continue this to the next month, or give you a month's time to prepare these plans, which you are going to need to file with the Zoning Board of Appeals. It isn't something that I want. It's it was the basis of the decision, of the denial that you got. So you need to have the material, and you don't have it.
All right. It seems like there's a little bit of misunderstanding, Bob. Mr. Chairman, this was our first rehearing in Brockton. I thought, as Mr. Pena said, the basis of the denial was incomplete information, and he did have dicta about the plans. I understand that, totally understand it, and we are going to address that. But you'd rather have everything in front of you now to make a decision.
I would, if it doesn't, yes, I really would, Attorney Stady. I would really like to see that. I don't think it's unreasonable, and you're going to have it.
Right.
And I'm sure that knowing the zoning board members and the zoning board chairman, he's certainly going to be looking for the items that were outlined in his decision. That's my personal feeling, but I'll see what is the rest of, well, Mr. Pena has spoken. Larry, do you have a thought, or Reggie?
Chair, yeah, Mr. Chair, I do have a thought about it, because I do remember way back, I believe it was at a tech meeting, that the parking, and I could be wrong because I'm trying to read some of the plans, but wasn't some of the, the objection was there was some parking on the side of the building, which would be the left side of the building that abutted the roadway, that I think was an issue. And is that what needs to be addressed?
I mean, there are so many.
I think that should be on the plan if they're gonna go back, and if zoning's gonna look at that, I think that needs to be on there and be a little clearer.
Yeah, I mean, I know you're been busy with other things, but there are so many separate parking issues that were stated, parking concerns that were stated in the written decision, that I think, in fairness to us, we would like to see that plan. So here again, because,
and I think
you have to have that plan
too, is if they don't have that when they go back to zoning, then that's going to be a problem for the applicant.
I think
it should be addressed and be a little clearer.
Would someone like to, in the interest?
Chairman, I think what happened too, we actually went back to tech review a second time, and on the second time, we went back with some different plans and got additional feedback on things we had to do. And that was very, very helpful. So that, I understand, Mr. Hassan, that could be some of the confusion. As I said, that plan is being developed. We don't have it for tonight. Our goal was to try to get past this stage. We thought procedurally get the blessing to go back and then prepare everything to go back to ZBA. But I see your point, and actually it's 6 to 1, half another. We have to do it anyways. We'll put it all together. We'll come back and then we'll go right to the ZBA, I guess.
All right, would someone like to make a motion?
I would just like to suggest that before I make a motion, I just want to point out the fact that most of the discussion revolved around the lack of the abutters list, the lack of the copy of the security plan and the host community agreement.
Yeah.
I'm not as concerned about the parking because I know that's going to be fixed, and the parking issues were minor, and there weren't that many. There seemed to be a lot more that I'm reading right now, but
Well,
I would suggest that you err on the side of over communicating, Attorney Stady, and just whether you think that the information is relevant or not, included in the submission to the ZBA. But other than that, I really see a substantial change in what we were presented.
Good.
I would like to make a motion to approve.
Quick, I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman, before you,
Yes.
the applicant came through tech review on July 27th. And it would be nice to have those plans as part of this package so that we know that we're getting the plans that are being permitted or submitted to the Zoning Board of Appeals actually match what has gone through tech review. Because if you remember, the plan last time through, the plans didn't quite match what the planning board thought they were getting.
I don't think a one month continuation is by any means punitive. I don't think it's unreasonable at all. I think that there are some missing pieces here. Again, I would direct your attention, read the decision of the Zoning Board of Appeals, and you may possibly come to that conclusion. But that's my feeling on it. I think that 1 month's continuance to get these things done, get them in proper order, bring them back before us, and we will take it under consideration at the time, but that's my feeling. Would someone like to make a motion?
Already did.
Very good.
All right. Is there a second on that motion?
Second.
Okay. Motion's been made and seconded. What, to resend back to the Zoning Board of Appeals?
Motion to approve, yes.
I'm sorry?
There was a motion to approve, yes.
All right. Return to the zoning board. Okay. Roll call. Craig Pina,
Yes.
Reggie Thomas,
Yes.
Larry Hassan,
Yes.
and Bob Pelagi is no.
They got it.
Is that fine?
Yeah. They got three of the four.
You need
Four?
You need all four.
You need four because it's a
Need
5.
four, because it's a return.
Yeah.
You need all four.
right. 4 are needed. I think you're correct, Mr. Chairman. 4 are needed.
Yeah.
Can you give me the date, really, maybe when the next meeting would be, so we can time things out for the planning board? That'd be,
I believe it's the 6th.
because there's a Columbus Day, Labor Day thing, a Columbus Day holiday in there, I think, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, we're before the holiday.
Okay, great. Okay, thank you. Okay.
Zoning would be that week.
All right, so Pam, you already have all the materials. You just need the plans, I gather.
The new site plan, yeah.
You need a context map, and you need a parking plan and I'm sure you have a copy of the written decision.
Yes,
You
I
need a
do.
context plan, and you need a plan that addresses the various parking issues, and then you're good to go.
Okay, all right. Thank you all. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you all. Thanks for your courtesy. Take care. Thank you.
I would like to ask the people here who are here about Charlotte Street subdivision, if you could raise your hands so electronically, so I can promote you up into a speaker's role. So the people who are here to talk about Charlotte Street. Anybody else about Charlotte?
Shadow mask and the sentinel. Which one did you say?
So how do I do this?
Your mic is on, you
That's a good sign.
Okay.
talk.
So am I doing this right?
We can hear you.
Okay, great. Can you see me?
We cannot see you, but we can hear you.
Here we go.
Oh, there
How's
you
it?
are.
There you go. I'm new to technology myself, sorry.
You all are.
It's all right. All right, so it's Mr., is it Mr. Keith?
Keith, yes.
So this is a continuation. This is item number 3, definitive subdivision previously approved on 11/08. This is a subdivision that was approved and it was, I guess it was a lapsed subdivision. It was not recorded properly. And the concern we had at last month's meeting was that, and the butter had raised a concern about drainage.
Drainage, correct.
Yeah, there wasn't any drainage documents, but subsequently there was I think we all have it, there was a statement there from
It's
PK,
okay.
the city engineer, that says that he reviewed and approved the plan. I mean, there's no drainage on the plan, but the engineering department has approved this plan, and the statement that they have on there is that the Division of Engineering of the Department of Public Works does not have any objection to the planning board acting on the revised plan of the proposed subdivision dated September the 14th, 2017. So I guess that addresses it. I don't know what I know there was a discussion on drainage, I guess, just because we don't see approved drainage on the plan. Apparently what the city engineer saw was appropriate. So would someone like to make a motion?
Motion to approve.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion to approve and a second. Roll call, Craig Pina,
Yes.
Reggie Thomas,
Yes.
Larry Hassan. Larry?
And then the homecoming book. She wants homecoming.
Sorry about that.
I'm sorry.
Yes.
Yes, and Bob Pelagi is a yes. So that's approved.
Ladies and gentlemen, those of
Okay.
you who are here to either present or speak about the subdivision on East Street.
Mr. Chair, Mr.
Yes.
Chair, do you want to reissue the same approval letter?
You mean as was addressed to the original subdivision?
Yes,
You mean with a current date on it?
correct.
I think does that meet the department's requirements, Mr. May? I think it
Yes,
suffices.
sir.
Okay. So that'll need signatures, right, Pam?
Well,
The
no,
plan will.
the letter, no.
Will there be an appeal period of this?
There is.
Yes. With any
It's 20
subdivision.
days from the time the letter goes to the city clerk.
Very good.
Won't be till next week sometime.
So, but it'll take her time to develop the letter, and then it has to sit at the city clerk's office for 20 days. That's the state law. And then when it comes out of there, then you can record, and
Very
It
good.
can be signed by the board members.
we got to sign it first.
Yeah.
It can't be on appeal without being signed.
However, also keep in mind that you have roadway and utility to install here.
That's right, that's right.
So a building permit can't be issued for the house. And it's sometime there's going to be some cash surety that will be needed.
Cash surety.
The building permits will be issued if we get the base down. I'd like to do the final coat after the house is built.
Correct, but you'll have to place the cash surety with the city for
Okay.
the year of the work.
Yep. Okay.
So does he need to make that decision tonight, Pam, or does he declare what he's going to do?
I mean, we can put his choice is either he's bonds the
Cash or a bond?
city, the cash bond to the city, or he gets out and he does the base roadway work.
Well,
And
he's got some time to make a decision before he's,
Right.
before his plan's out of appeal. So, right? Am I saying that correctly? If you're undecided as to how you want to proceed,
Right.
you
I'll
can,
be in the office Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, so if you have a question. you can-
Yeah, I'll give you a call.
that sounds great.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you.
All right, have a good night.
Good night.
Okay, again, anyone here to speak about the North Cary subdivision? Or,
Whoops. What
I'm
happened?
sorry, I'm sorry, the East Street subdivision,
78.
678 East Street. Please raise your hand so I can promote you.
I see Gigi there, and
She's not raised her hand, so
I know, but
I know that's her, though.
we know
I'm
she's
promoting
there.
her. So East Street subdivision, Knights Way.
Good evening, Mr. Pelagi, Scott Ford, and members of the board for Mr. Carroll, and along with Gigi Munden.
Oh, good evening.
There she is.
Ben Carroll here as well.
Good evening.
Good evening.
If you'd care to, you can address the board with some of the changes that you made. I mean, I've got some questions. The other board members may have some questions, but I've got some questions. But if you'd like to, you can.
Certainly, yeah.
The changes that you've made.
Thank you, Mr. Pelagi. And I might ask Gigi to chime in on some of the more specifics. I did not have the privilege of representing Mr. Carroll at the previous board hearing, but I did watch the proceedings and try to get up to speed as best as possible. So this is a subdivision plan that we're asking Brockton to approve. It's a unique development. A portion of it is located in Bridgewater. There's currently a dilapidated about a 13,000 square foot building. It's on the site. It's been historically on the site for a number of years. It's decrepit and is to be raised. To cut right to the heart of the matter, one of the major concerns the board had the last time was our attempt in good faith to merge the various planning requirements of both municipalities, and that had us reducing the width of the road when it got into Bridgewater, which created a perceived choke point, which we totally understand. So the applicant and Ms. Munden has gone back and re-engineered the roadway to maintain the 30-foot width throughout from East Street throughout the project to the cul-de-sac. In addition to that, we're asking for a reduction in the sidewalks after the first 200 feet in Brockton for about the remaining 130 feet or so to be reduced from 8 feet to 3 feet, and a Cape Cod berm to be the curbing for that roadway. The layout of the street was originally proposed, I believe, to be 50, but we're asking that to be reduced to 40, and that's the reduction in the sidewalks, also to accommodate some utility easements. There was a question, I believe, raised at the previous hearing about the 30-foot turning radius as it comes onto East Street, which we have addressed and shown on the plan that it is comports with the city's regulations, and those are the major changes I would submit regarding kind of the big safety issues. I just would like to point out to the board that this does have a bit of a history to it, and the two lots in Brockton are both to be non-buildable per an agreement with the previous planning board, which provides an incredible amount of buffer to the back of the existing house lots that are fronting on East Street, and also provides a good separation from the proposed structures that we want to build back there. Also, there's a considerable amount of impervious surface out back there. Now, I don't know if any members have been back there recently, but that is all coming out. And so not just the parking lot that's there, but also the roof surface area of the existing building, all coming out and being allowed to return with some minor plantings, but for the most part allowed to return to a more natural state. We believe it's a good project. I mean, it's a tough lot out there. There are some options that we could put to this piece of property. We think this is the best one, for everybody, quite frankly. The options that we could do it just within the four corners of the law, I don't think kind of would be the best option for Brockton. And I think, putting some really nice 4-bedroom, 2-bathroom homes back there with a reputable builder that makes good products makes a lot of sense. So we're asking the board to approve the subdivision plan, and we hope that the plan before you tonight addresses those concerns. So with that, I feel for open it up for any questions that the board might have, and the three of us will do the best we can to answer them.
Okay, does anybody have questions?
The board members have questions.
Yes.
So we're still looking at the reduction in the width within the city of Brockton. We're still looking at the reduction of the width of the road?
The layout, not the road.
Okay.
So the road is compliant. The paved area that vehicles are going to travel over is compliant with the city of Brockton. It's the remaining, the non-drivable portion, if you will.
And that's highlighted by the green lines here?
Yes.
So what's happening is we're keeping the road, the paved width, which is 34 feet, along the entire road.
Okay.
Which was a safety issue last time with the driving road being reduced in width. So we have kept the width the same, but we are asking variances for sidewalk and berm to accommodate the widening of the driving width.
Okay.
So road layouts, which doesn't mean, road layouts mean everything, like the paved area, sidewalks, the tree area, that's the road layout. And then there's a paved section, which is what we drive on. That is same and accordingly with the Brockton regulations throughout. So we are in Bridgewater is 26, but we're keeping it in Bridgewater and in Brockton 34, which is the Brockton regulation.
Okay. I had a couple of questions. Is your right of way that you own, I understand that you've got owners on either side as you enter from East Street, but do you own a 50-foot wide way there? Is your property ownership 50 feet wide?
Yes.
Okay. So why are you reducing the width of the way from 50 to 40? Why are you doing that?
So let me just look at it. We are doing that, like I said, in the community meeting, some of you weren't there, to keep, my professional opinion is the gas and the electricity Comcast, which will go along under the sidewalks, is better if they're accessible because they are fixed constantly, they are changed constantly, and it is much better for everybody to have them within the utility easement in the grassed landscaped area rather than under like a paved or concrete section that will have to be broken and fixed fairly often. And the reason we didn't reduce it all to 4 and ask for it in the beginning section is first, we just want to show that we comply with Brockton to the extent possible. And last time you had the board have some streetscape concerns. So in Bridgewater, East Bridgewater, it wouldn't be an issue, I think, but if in the future, East Street has become streetscaped and the sidewalks are improved and all that stuff, so this would be continuous with.
Okay, okay. Well, first of all, I don't remember the last time that a new road was accepted in Brockton that was less than a 50-foot wide layout for residential.
Right.
I don't recall. It
Right.
I don't recall it. The other thought, I mean, most of the underground utilities are in a conduit. So if you
Talking
had.
about the road, not the lot.
We're getting some feedback.
Do they have the frontage on East Street for at least 50 feet?
No,
Someone has an open mic.
said they do. I didn't think they did.
They don't, they do.
I think it's Councilor Nicastro.
Counselor, yeah.
Okay. So most of the underground utilities are required to be in a conduit.
Yeah.
So if you were required to do, let's say you did a conventional 50-foot wide layout, and let's say you didn't ask for waivers for sidewalks, and you had to put sidewalks both sides, although you're allowed to ask for waivers. And you put the underground utilities in the required conduit, you can still service the underground utilities. I mean, gas is usually not in the, gas is in the street, gas is in the paved area typically. So your sewer, water, drain, gas is in the street. Your other underground utilities that would normally be overhead would be in conduits. So they're serviceable. There's manholes, as you know, I don't have to tell you, there's periodic manholes with the underground. So I'm not sure that I'm in total alignment with your theory there. And then as far as the 3-foot sidewalk, 3-foot sidewalk is, I'm not sure what you'd do with it. A 3-foot sidewalk would, you know, my other comment on this, and this is not a criticism, but if there was ever a project that would have benefited by a preliminary subdivision plan, it's this one. I mean, as a discussion tool, the filing of a preliminary subdivision requires much less work, and it opens up some back and forth discussion. I appreciate that this is a unique project. You've got intermunicipal things going on. You've got conflicting board regulations. You got conflicting construction regulations, and so a great discussion tool, in my opinion, would have been a preliminary subdivision plan, a 1-sheet thing or a couple of sheets to get it done. But in any case, this is what we have.
Mr. Pelleggi, if I could just address kind of your concern specifically on the layout. I mean, you know, our purpose was to kind of in anticipation going forward. We're looking forward to the future, saying what's the best for everyone involved, the best use of this space, right? We understand the regulations say 8-foot wide sidewalks, and we're saying, okay, does that make the best sense here? I mean, typically you want to see sidewalks where there's a lot of traffic going back and forth. This is not going to be the case here. There's really no hope that there's no possibility of this ever becoming a through road. It's strictly kind of to handle the traffic in and out. So we're just trying to anticipate going forward, saying in this area, if I was living there, what would I like to see? You know, I would prefer there's trees and the vegetation, a little more natural, a little more in keeping with the environment of the area, you know, more rural wooded area. And then also just if and when those utilities do have to be repaired, and they will be from time to time, it's just easier. It's just easier for everybody. It's easy for the people that are going to be paying for it. It's easy for the utilities working on it. It just, I mean, certainly, yeah, you can put 8-foot sidewalks there, but to what end, other than, you know, that's what it says in the regs.
I mean, I'm sure you have a copy of Brockton's subdivision rules and regulations.
Yes. Yep.
Because they have a typical cross section there, and it shows water, sewer, drain, gas, electric, telephone, cable. It's all in there on a typical subdivision, and you can accommodate all of those things within a 50-foot wide layout. So you don't need, I mean, I'm having a little difficulty reading the plan because my glasses are, well, I guess my eyes aren't what they used to be, but so one of the things that I would look for, and again, I appreciate there's an extra challenge in doing an intermunicipal project, is continuity through the project. You want continuity through the project, even if it goes through 3 towns. And I understand also that Brockton's regulations are more formal. They're probably more strict than, say, East Bridgewater's. And so I appreciate you upgrading your plan to meet or attempt to meet Brockton's requirements. But that's what I see. I don't like the jumping back and forth of the widths, and I can't appreciate a 3-foot wide sidewalk. I'm sorry. And I think if you look in general to Brockton's, the cross section that's shown in Brockton's subdivision rules and regulations, I think that's typical. I mean, there was one, wasn't the one, Pam, that's up on the extension of Braymore there? That's, what's his name? Just did, Mr. Bias just did that. That's classic, the one that we just released.
Yes.
That's classic, 50-foot wide. It's, I'm not even sure that I can't remember now. I can't remember if we reduced the width of his paving. We did, the board before me approved it, and subject to sidewalk one side. I just happened to be up there for other purposes, and it looks wonderful. And he has underground utilities, he's complied in every way, and it's
So Mr. Pelagi, I think, and Gigi, I might get out over the tips of my skis here, and I want you to kick me under the table if I do, so stop me. But I think we're saying the same thing, Mr. Pelagi. You're absolutely correct. The Brockton's subdivision control regulations have all of the utilities within an 8-foot, within a 50-foot layout and an 8-foot sidewalk. Where it's essentially the same thing here. It comes down to a question of ownership, whereas our proposal is a 40-foot wide ROW, and the utilities contained outside of the right-of-way within a dedicated utility easement. That's kind of the purpose here. I mean, so it's not as if we don't have 50 feet. We're just using it slightly different than Brockton.
That's just, and again,
am I correct, Gigi?
Yes.
Yeah. So we're not saying we don't have 50 feet that Brockton requires. We're trying to be a little proactive, a little forward thinking on these things.
How about a little creative?
Creative, yeah, sure. But I mean, I don't know to what end. I mean, I think I'd submit respectfully, it's a distinction without a difference, other than it's not the way Brockton has done it. But certainly, I don't think it's any worse, and I would submit that it actually makes a lot more sense from a it's going to have to get torn up at some point in the future, and it's a lot easier to work in a dedicated utility easement than it would be the middle of the street or the sidewalks.
I would like to address a couple of your concerns. First, I only have some of my opinions because I used to work on the other side. I used to work at the Public Works, and gas company does what gas company wants. And I think at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. I don't think it's gonna make anything significantly worse if the gas under sidewalk. But I just went that initially, not initially, second. And thank you.
Gigi, we're having a hard time hearing you. If you could speak up.
Sorry. Okay. And second, about the preliminary, the reason we didn't submit preliminary, as you mentioned in the previous meeting, it was almost almost identical to the latest one that was approved in 2015 that expired in 2017. That's why we didn't submit a preliminary, because we're still having a lot of discussion. Clearly, maybe we should have submitted preliminary, but that's why we didn't in the first place.
Okay, and then the other thing is, and I don't have a copy of the regulations here, but it's just a curiosity question. Isn't the largest size a definitive subdivision in the city in Brockton is 40 scale? Isn't the largest size you can, the smallest plan can be a 40 scale? I think you're at 60 scale here, which makes it a little bit difficult to read. I could be wrong on that. I'd have to check the regs, but.
The first page is 60 scale.
I think your second page is too. Your lotting your lotting plan is 60 scale. I think we require 40. I think the smallest scale you can submit is 40 scale for a subdivision plan. With respect, I could be wrong on that, but in any case, you might want to check that. Do any of the other board members have any comments? Mr. May.
Mr. Chair,
I'm
yes,
sorry.
I do, Larry.
Yep.
Just, I remember the last time we spoke about this too, and what is the responsibility of the city for any emergencies or vehicles going in and out of there? Is that still something that needs to be addressed, or
Well,
I want to, I know there was a discussion about it.
Yeah, I think the way, if I understand it, please correct me, Deputy Chief Williams. I think the way it works is that because when we come up against these intermunicipal projects, that the municipality in which the emergency arises is the one that responds first, and then Brockton would go in subsequently if they needed help. Is that correct, Chief Williams?
That's correct.
That is
That's
correct?
Yes.
So in other words, long story short, these houses are in East Bridgewater. So if they're having a domestic issue or a fire, or they're having, certainly if they're having utility problems, East Bridgewater's got to respond first. And then the backup measure would Brockton come in.
That's correct. If the people in the homes called 911, it would go to East Bridgewater. But if a house caught fire and someone was driving down East Street and saw it and called us, we'd respond. And then we'd find out it's in East Bridgewater. We'd go to work and they'd follow us in. But East Bridgewater, I believe there's a letter on file from both the police and fire that said they'll take full responsibility for the activities on their side of the line.
All right, thank you. Mr. May, or Pam, did we get any updates from any of the other city departments, whether it's DPW or engineering, or do we have anything from them?
No, there has not been anything new since our original tech review.
And that was about when, Mr. May? When was that?
Oh, gosh.
I mean, are we talking about the first go around on this?
Pam, can you?
No, I believe they received hard copies.
Yeah, they did. So that was
Of the first,
middle of the pandemic, wasn't it?
yeah.
Okay.
So they received the packet that you received.
And Mr. May, and not to put you on the spot, but I oftentimes do. Does Brockton have water and sewer services and resources, an abundance of water and sewer resources to possibly service outside of the city? Are they encouraging that now or not?
Well, not speaking in favor or pro or con to this project, the city does have excess capacity of sewer and water. We are using that as a development tool, and we are trying to sell those resources. And it does require an intermunicipal agreement between the city and the adjacent town or towns that we'll be selling water to.
Okay, yeah, that's been longstanding. So that brings the rise to my question. If that's the case, and I appreciate that you've got a grade difference from, say, East Street down to the end of the cul-de-sac of, I don't know, it looks like in excess of 10 feet. Am I about approximately correct, Gigi? What's your elevation difference between East Street and the end of the cul-de-sac? Are you about 10 feet?
Yes, about 10 to 12 feet.
Okay, so I'm only asking the question. I'm not telling you what to do, but if there is these resources in Brockton, and Brockton is looking favorably to sell them or to market them, and obviously you would require a central pump station of some kind. Have you looked at the possibility, and also given the fact that we've heard a lot of our testimony about high groundwater and about the concerns of, how many houses do you have here?
7.
7. You got 7 houses, and about the day after day after day of the infiltration from your soil absorption systems, from your septic systems. In light of that, have you looked at availing yourselves of those services from Brockton? I mean, does that seem something that's realistic?
A sewer system with a pump station is the only possibility here.
I mean, you could do, I've seen subdivisions with, I'm not trying to suggest, you could do individual pumps, or you could do one central pump station for the 7 houses and pump up to, I don't know what your profile is there. I didn't do it, but I don't know how deep the sewer is in the ground, but is it something that's even worth looking at, do you think? You'd get Brockton Water and Brockton Sewer?
The water we'll have to use from Brockton, that's proposed on the plan. Sewer, we have considered it, but I don't see how loading the Brockton sewer system additionally helps Brockton, if we're talking about benefits to Brockton.
Does Rob, did you say that Brockton had excess sewer capacity?
Yes, we do.
We do have excess sewer capacity. We sell water. And I'll just leave it at that.
Okay. Well, certainly some things to look at.
Mr. Pelagi?
Yes, sir.
Was your line of questioning about the sewerage in reference to your earlier statement about the groundwater levels?
Yes, I mean, again, I think we all heard neighbor testimony that when I think somebody has a professional credentials in that discipline, that they were very concerned about, first of all, about the runoff, how the stormwater was going to be handled, and additionally, the day-to-day functioning of the 7 septic systems and the added, I don't know how you'd measure that, but the added increase to the groundwater from the 7 septic systems, and you know, given the fact that seven septic systems that meet, you know, Title V, that comes at a cost. I mean, that cost may partially offset one central pump that could be shared commonly with the 7 owners. I'm trying to think a little outside the box here. And then you've got city sewer and city water as opposed to on-site septic. But I'm not trying to design your project for you. I'm just trying to be a little creative. But I didn't know if you had looked at that, as the applicant or the engineer had looked at that.
Mr.
Thank you for clarifying that, Mr. Pelagi.
I'm sorry?
Thank you for clarifying that.
Yep.
No, we have looked at it, and I know for a fact the applicant would be open to accepting city sewer, but we also know that in order to have those conversations, we need to get past this point, because we can't really have conversations about how much water, how much sewer, and have those like further negotiations with the town. You know, it's difficult because of the structure of this project to know for certainty, to say, you know, you've proven, yes, it's going to be sewer. I mean, I think I would submit to the board that the septic systems and our stormwater management plan is fully compliant. I think they're well-designed plans. I think the stormwater for the site will be monumentally improved, despite the comments we heard at the public meeting. I think, quite frankly, you'd have an improvement of impervious surface. You'd be maintaining stormwater on the site, treating it and discharging it, as opposed to allowing it to run off indiscriminately wherever it's going now. That said, I don't know. I haven't seen any technical data that the inclusion of 7 septic systems is going to change the water table at all. I think that was a lot of conjecture, and I'd be cautious about amending carefully thought out, well-designed plans based on that, based on a summation.
Yeah.
But yeah, I know I've had conversations with the applicant, and if Brockton is open to it, I mean, if the preference moving forward is, if sewer is possible and Brockton is willing to do it, give a hard look to sewer, but if not, do the septic. I mean, I don't know if we could, you know, we're getting creative. Mr. Carroll, you know, again, kick me under the table.
No, agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed.
So to say, yes, it has to be, so I mean, if we could design the system or go forward with the understanding that we're gonna take a long, hard look at sewer and have those important conversations at a higher municipal level and see if it pans out. And if it does, that's great. It sounds like it'll be great for Brockton because, you know, they're not giving it away for free, quite frankly, right? So, and there's excess capacity, so everybody wins. But if that's not possible, I don't think it holds the plan up at this stage.
Okay, well, my question was, that's why I framed the question, had you looked into it? I'm not suggesting that that's a condition of approval. I just didn't know if you had looked into where Brockton had those resources available, but okay. Does anybody else have any other board comments by the board?
I just think, I mean, with the elimination of all the pavement and all the impervious surface back there, and a lot of the water issues will be solved by that.
I agree. I mean, that's to raise that building and to take up that paving, no question about it.
And there is a very big buffer area between the properties on East Street and the new development. Well, although I would like to sell city services, that would also be nice. But I think the water issues will be solved by eliminating all that impervious surface. What I'm not crazy about is I think a 3-foot sidewalk will look kind of silly, but I'd like to see the roadway continue at least till the East Bridgewater line. But we'll you know, I don't know what the board's opinion on that is.
Yeah. I have to say, I agree with your comment about the taking up the building and taking up that paving. I mean, that unattenuated sheet flow is not a good thing for the area. And so to take that up and make that now impervious, I think I heard them say they're going to grass that or vegetate it somehow. That is no question a big improvement. So, well, I've shared my comments. My comments is a consistency of the roadway. And I understand that Brockton has more strict regulations than East Bridgewater does, but a consistency, and it looks like we're going in that direction. I don't like to see the jumping back and forth of various widths and this and that. I like to see, myself personally, I would like to see a homogeneous design, a smooth design all the way through. And, but that's, anyway, I'll open it up to other comment. If the board doesn't have any other comments, I'll open it up to the public. If there's public comment at this time.
Yes, I'd like to speak.
Yes.
Yes, my name's Jim Bosco. I live at 719 East Street. I live very close to that project. So the comments that I have, I'm looking at the last plans that I obtained at the public hearing down at the Davis School. And over the years, I've seen it change many times. And I've heard East Bridgewater brought up, and I'm sitting here saying, as a Brockton planning board, my thought was, as a Brockton resident, that, you know, I'm looking at it from the Brockton side, because from what I understand, East Bridgewater hasn't approved anything. So whatever plans are for East Bridgewater, whatever's on this plan means nothing to me as a Brockton resident, because nothing's been approved in East Bridgewater. So that could change. It could turn into anything just like this plan has. So my comments are for what I see for Brockton, and what I've seen is a road that, you know, I'm concerned about public safety and what would happen for our first responders or our rubbish or our school buses or whatever might need to go on the Brockton side of the roadway. In previous plans, at the edge of the property in Brockton, there was a cul-de-sac allowing emergency response vehicles to be able to turn around. And whatever was going on further than that in East Bridgewater was the Brockton response was able, whether it be plowing, rubbish, whatever it might be, they were able to make their full turnaround and come out.
Well, they've got a cul-de-sac at the end of the road,
which is in East Bridgewater.
Right, but what's the likelihood, sir, that they're going to, if Brockton approves the Brockton portion that has no lots and East Bridgewater denies the subdivision, what's the likelihood that they're going to build a 300 and something foot roadway that has no houses? It's never going to get done.
They could put anything out there, multi-story, we don't know. So my,
Yeah, so it's a single-family residential district.
but in East Bridgewater, they could get a variance to do anything they want. I don't know what's gonna happen in East Bridgewater. My concern is, as a taxpayer of Brockton, there's a buildable lot on there that has been deemed non-buildable. My opinion would be, is that as a homeowner, I would like to see a residence built there where that building was torn down instead of just a vacant lot. It would make sense to me that there would be something there that would improve the value of a single-family home, that would improve the value of our neighborhood.
I think so too. I think you make a good point. I thought that there should be a home on each one of those lots in Brockton, but the remand from the court says that the agreement was that there will be no residential building in Brockton.
But that doesn't remand them from ever putting in a cell tower. Now, I've seen plans over the year that they were gonna put a cell tower there. So as a resident, I don't necessarily agree with whatever the courts decided on. I would prefer to see it would help my personal value and my personal quality of life if a home was built there, instead of this agreement that the court came up with, that did the court say that they can't build a cell tower there? I don't believe that's in the court's writing. So
that may be the case, sir, but that's not the plan that's before us tonight.
That's correct. So I'm only looking for on the Brockton side, because whatever happens beyond Brockton's got no control of the board. They can do whatever they want beyond that. They can make it 20 feet wide. East Bridgewater, I've been to many of their meetings, and they've said in their meetings that they weren't going to respond to plowing. And I can only say, I haven't seen any letters from them. I can only say to the public hearings that I've been to, that they were saying, if someone calls from East Bridgewater, the developer's going to have to get some kind of municipal agreement with Brockton. Now, if we're going to go under the understanding that the developer wants to put something there, in the past month or two, Brockton's under a curfew because of these outlandish parties that are happening. Now, that's under the control of Brockton. Whatever happens in East Bridgewater on that cul-de-sac would be the responsibility of East Bridgewater, but it will affect the residents of Brockton. So I just want to point that out to the board. If we're talking about narrowing of a road, I've seen where those parties were and our first responders had to get in there. I would not want a cul-de-sac to be narrowed down for our or our police to have any response down that road.
We've asked them to adjust the width of the road, and they have, sir. Even though I've got other concerns on this plan, they're showing a fully compliant road width. I have concerns about the sidewalk and so forth, but they're showing a full 34-foot wide. I think.
Correct.
What is East Bridgewater's requirement? It's something like 20 or 24.
Correct.
So
I mean, again, I don't even know I don't know what's going to happen in East Bridgewater. I've been to those meetings. I'm concerned about Brockton and what we're doing in Brockton. And what I thought the plans previous at the board was presented, that at the Brockton line, there was a full cul-de-sac so that the Brockton responders or whatever it would be could turn around. Now, that was before they decided to make it a non-buildable lot. And I don't know why that agreement was done. I have no idea why Brockton would devalue a buildable lot that we can get taxes on. Brockton can sell sewer and water, but what those 7 homes, the taxes are going to East Bridgewater. So we're going to be able to sell the sewer and the water, but right now they don't even have the sewer on their plans. So
no, they got on-site septic. That's the other reason why I suggested looking into sewer and water so that Brockton got something out of it.
Correct.
And the other reason why I suggested building 2 homes in Brockton for the very reason that you just said, sir.
Yes.
That's what I would like. I mean, to me, that's a good use of those
property
in Brockton. But
because the neighbors that I've spoke to are very concerned about why we aren't building homes there, and only because we've seen plans that on the large buildable lot, there was a cell tower presented for that lot, and it went in front of the city boards. So,
well, what is the intention, Mr. Let's see, Mr. Carroll is here. So, what is your position on a cell tower, Mr. Carroll?
It's my position that there is no cell tower there presently.
Okay, is it your intention at some time in the future, not to put you on the spot, but I do that?
I have no intentions at this point of building a cell tower on that property.
Would you be willing to build a home, single-family home on there?
I absolutely would be willing to put 2 single-family homes on the Brockton side of this project. And speaking to the judgment of remand, the judgment of remand also says for a road to be built compliant to East Bridgewater standards, which would put us at 26 feet in road width from Brockton into East Bridgewater. So if we're gonna change the terms of the judgment of remand, I would be more than willing to ask for variance to build I'd be proud to build 2 additional homes in Brockton.
Well, I know there's one buildable lot. I don't know if there's 2. I mean, when we were at the public hearing, it was mentioned there was 1. I don't know what the restrictions would be or variances would be necessary for the second one. But at least at that point, Brockton would be getting something out of this. And, as a resident, I'm concerned why we're putting it over an acre lot of land dormant when we're talking about putting 7 homes in East Bridgewater, which East Bridgewater is going to get the tax benefits from.
Okay, I've got your point. Thank you for sharing that. That is a good point, and it's also exactly the same thought that I had as well.
Thank you, Chairman.
I was just concerned, curious, or wondering why we couldn't establish 2 single-family homes. And again, for the same thought, establish 2 homes there and get the tax base from it. And again, water and sewer get the revenue from that. But I mean, these are all things that the developer has to research and present. These intermunicipal projects are not easy, whether it doesn't matter what the city and town combination, they all have unique sets of challenges and problems. So anybody else that's here that wishes to speak either against or in favor of the project? Okay, well, we have
This is Councilor.
I'm sorry?
I'll wait until after you've read the letters from the residents, and then I will speak. Thank you.
Okay, good evening, Councilor.
I will wait until letters from the residents, and then I will speak.
Mr. Castro, I'm having a hard time hearing you.
Yeah, I am too.
I will
I'd like you to read the letters. She wants you to read the letters into the record, the letters that I sent you all.
And then I will speak.
Okay. How many letters are there, Councilor?
I'm not sure they were submitted to the planning board.
Just 3. They're somewhat lengthy, but just 3.
Okay, would someone like to?
I can read them.
Thank you very much. Would you please?
We live at 694 East Street and own the property that addresses.
I'm sorry, is there a name, Pam? Is there a name?
Lauren Simmons.
Okay.
I'm just reading it the way it is. And own the property at that address and 2 adjoining lots that abut part of the property that Mr. Carroll was attempting to develop. My mother, father, and I have lived here since 1954. Since that time, Mr. Carroll, the developer, took possession of the former Knights of Columbus property many years ago. We have been attentive to Mr. Carroll's varying plans and attempts to develop the property. From the beginning, Mr. Carroll's project has been fraught with problems, mainly because the property lies partly in Brockton and mostly in East Bridgewater. We have grave concerns about the project, some neighborhood history with this builder. Mr. Carroll disrupted our back property line in an attempt to gain more footage from us for one of his Brockton lots by sending my mother a letter demanding we demolish our barn, claiming it lay on his property. My mother had to incur the cost of hiring a lawyer and a surveyor, and in the end, Mr. Carroll was proven wrong and lost. Mr. Carroll also called our neighbor at the time, Mrs. Burke, demanding that she remove a garden he claimed encroached on her land. She was struggling with a battle of breast cancer, and the garden had been planted by her friends with the focus of cheering her on. Grave concerns with the current plan. Currently, this latest plan seems to try to make Knight's Way, as they call it, a public way, with the responsibilities to Brockton going with it. This seems to be very problematic since the 2 lots in Brockton have been deemed unbuildable by the court, and all the homes will be in East Bridgewater. plowing and upkeep of the road, should it go public? Who does the plowing and how far does the plowing go? To the line? Who pays for Brockton plowing when Brockton has no homes? And does the upkeep of the road only go as far as the line? It seems Brockton will incur the upkeep of the road. From Brockton perspective, goes nowhere. The cost of water, the latest plan says Brockton will supply water and the development will pay for water. How will this work after the builder leaves? Will Brockton incur the cost of billing the future East Bridgewater occupants and chasing down payment? Children in busing. Who buses the children to East Bridgewater schools? This seems very awkward to have East Bridgewater buses drive all the way through the West Bridgewater line to Brockton to pick up East Bridgewater children. Eventually, the pandemic will be over and kids will return to school. The Brockton unbuildable lots and the cell tower. When I emailed Mr. May about 2 months ago, he told me he know of no new cell tower scheme for the Brockton unbuildable lots. I remember the cell tower being an issue some time ago, yet it seems it could be a hidden possibility. No one has said who is to own the unbuildable lots and pay taxes on them. Can we assume the builder? No businessman would pay taxes and not get anything in return. What is the plan for the use of the unbuildable lots in Brockton? How will that affect us and the current occupants of Knights Way? What guarantees do we have that nothing of potential danger to our health and the health of our children will be built in close proximity? That no eyesore will be built to diminish our property value. Traffic. All we need in this neighborhood is more traffic in a community with children and older citizens, with a curve in the road close to the intersection and a church almost directly across the street. Will there at least be a stop sign and a crosswalk? This is another idea fraught with potential problems. Thank you.
And again, that was who, Pam, please?
Laura Simmons.
Okay, Simmons is at, she's at the corner, I guess the southerly corner of this
She
project.
says 694, so I think she's the property right in back.
Yes.
Nancy Messia, 678. Oh, never mind. She lives at 720 East Street. I'm writing in reference to the proposed subdivision at 678 East Street. I would like this read at the planning board meeting. I'm very much against this subdivision being built for many reasons. The water table in this area is high. My sump pump runs all year round. It has become worse with any new houses that are built around us. When the street was put in off of Peterson Ave, I was told not to worry. There would be a ravine to help the water. It did not. No water ever collected in it, and it is filled now. It made my water problem bigger. 3 lots from mine, another home was built. After that, sinkholes started developing in my yard and my driveway. We fill them in. They reoccur. Any drains put in this new subdivision will only take care of rain that falls on the street. It will not take care of the large amounts of groundwater that exist. The water will be displaced due to foundations of new homes and losses of hundreds of trees. The entrance to this subdivision is not wide enough for a street. Why is this fact being overlooked for a neighborhood that will not pay taxes in our city and negatively impact the people? The entrance is being placed on a heavily traveled street at a dangerous curve. Is there a fire? Will the residents have to wait for the fire department to get to them from East Bridgewater? Will our fire department risk their lives rushing into a fire, not in their city? This subdivision is not only going to cause problems for the people who live around it, it's going to cost the city. I do not think it should be approved. It has no benefit to the city. I urge you to vote no.
And again, that was who? I'm sorry, Pam?
Nancy Messina.
Okay, I don't know where she is. I don't know where.
It says 720, so.
That's me. I'm here if you can hear me.
Ginny Jepson, 578 Plain Street, which is on the corner of East Street. When my family moved into this location, we were the only house on our side of the street. We were surrounded by trees. At no time did we ever have a water problem in our cellar. During the years that followed, we watched the neighborhood grow in all directions and saw good things and not some good things. There were many homes built in locations that had constant water problems in their cellars. Eventually, we were forced to put a sump pump in our own cellar because every time more houses get built, trees continue to be removed. Groundwater begins to change to the point that our driveway became a river during heavy rainstorms, and eventually we did get water in our cellar on occasion, which is not only inconvenient, but unhealthy. From where 678 East Street, the land begins to go downhill till it meets Plain where my house is. I'm very concerned that even though they plan to buy Brockton water, they state the houses will have septic, which will eventually drain into the ground water level and may reach my home or cellar. Another concern I have is East Street is a narrow street with no sidewalks, and it's also a bus route for commercial and school buses, as well as a well-traveled route to get from the east side of Brockton to the south side at all times of day at night. And the intersection of Plain and East Street, where most of the East Bridgewater families who buy their homes would be using, is well known as a dangerous intersection and has many accidents and fatalities. I also object to Brockton having to be first responders for police and firefighters, as the plan shows little room for emergency vehicles to access and exit the premises. Plus, we will be responsible for snow plowing, rubbish pickup, and other maintenance, but we get nothing in return. One last but very important thing concerns me. There is one piece of property, approximately an acre in Brockton, unaccounted for. When asked what they plan to do with that, they refuse to give us an answer. However, I do believe they have something in mind, which will be announced at a later date after all the homes are built and occupied, and will come as an unpleasant surprise to all of us. This is my opinion on past experiences with these property owners. Virginia Jepson.
Thank you. Councilor McCastro?
Thank you, and good evening to everyone. And I appreciate your reading those letters in. I have a couple of things just to point out quickly. As you know, I wrote to the board in June and my letter was read aloud. I remain concerned about the turning radii at East Street. I believe it's inadequate. East Street has become a very busy road. I'm concerned about large vehicles, FedEx trucks, UPS, buses, fire trucks, public safety trucks making that corner. There are no sidewalks on East Street. What you're proposing with the road and with the sidewalks, you're going to make two narrow sidewalks and a too narrow road. And I know what happens when the sidewalks are too narrow and there's more than one child walking on it. The other child or children walk in the street. So you already have a too narrow street. You're going to have people walking in it. And to me, that's a hazardous situation that is being created. And why would we want to do that? I also think, similar to the Meadow Woods issue taken up by this board earlier this year, I think you should be treating this like it's land in Brockton. That's what your subdivision rules and regs say. You're supposed to be working on Brockton land, and therefore, I think a cul-de-sac at the end of the land in Brockton would be appropriate, something that would be sufficient for cars to turn around in. I am also concerned about a cell tower, as the other letters alluded to. And that is not something that the neighbors want. They made that very clear to me. We differ on the resources of the city being available for this, specifically water and sewer. I have had several conversations with Mayor Robert Sullivan about the sale of resources. He has been exploring the sale of sewer to other communities, but we have all kinds of issues and concerns with our water right now, especially as it relates to the desalination plant and the very expensive water that comes from it. And so I don't think you can bank on water being available to be sold to this, but that is for another day. And if you did decide to approve this, you would be conditioning it, I'm sure, on water and sewer and an intermunicipal agreement. It was not listed in any of the materials that I saw online, but as I understand it from comments that were made by Mr. Carroll, Attorney Carroll, to me and at the neighborhood meeting, one of the real purposes of this subdivision plan is to change the decision of the planning board back in 2015, which conditioned approval on the part of the road in Brockton remaining private, to change that to public. And you see that written rather prominently. Even I can see that on these very small printouts of these plans. I'm opposed to that. I think the road should remain private. That is what we're doing in Brockton right now, and we're not accepting roads for public roads very often. I'm also concerned about the expense that this subdivision in in East Bridgewater, the expense that's going to be incurred by the city of Brockton for maintenance and upkeep. We can't afford it. We just scraped by in approving a budget in June, and we can't afford additional expense for roads that don't benefit us. And I just feel I don't see the benefit of approving this to Brockton. And finally, I've taken a look at your subdivision rules and regulations, and they talk about the purpose of the subdivision control law is to protect the safety, convenience, and welfare of the inhabitants of the city of Brockton. And I don't think that's what's happening in approving this. I heard very, very little discussion about stormwater, and yet all of the neighbors are concerned about the water table and stormwater and what will happen. And I'm not satisfied that that is being properly tended to in what's going on here. And I'm also concerned your subdivision purpose is reducing danger to life and limb in the operation of motor vehicles. I'm not sure you're satisfying that in these plans. And so for all these reasons, I would prefer to see this not approved tonight, respectfully. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Counselor, and thank you for attending. Gigi, did you do calculations, horizontal and vertical site distance calculations for at the entrance there? I see there's a bend on East Street, and for the prescribed, given the prescribed maximum speed of East Street, did you perform those calculations, or could you please? I want to satisfy that there's been a number of concerns about entrance and egress onto East Street there, and I think we need to take a look at
Mr. Pelleggi, I can
site distance calculations.
I can address that. We do have a traffic plan that addresses that, and basically to surmise it, for the speed limits of East Street, and actually far in excess of the speed limits, up to I want to say it's 45 miles an hour. The sight lines
will accommodate the speed of that.
They do. We do meet that. And we're having that plan. There's been no change in anything that's proposed today before the board, as opposed to what was before the traffic study a few years ago. We are getting that updated. We're going to get a letter just updating it, basically going out there and saying, yeah, nothing's changed. Our opinion's still good. But we have addressed that. I'd just like to take an opportunity just to address a couple of the concerns and just kind of put it back on the right track. And there's been some comments that, 30 degrees is not safe, and we don't meet the 30 degrees, and we do as represented on the plan. So I don't think that it's fair to say that we don't meet that when it is represented by a stamped and signed engineer's plan that we do. In terms of the width of the road, saying the road's too narrow, it is built to Brockton standards. 34 feet wide is what is required by the city, and to say it's not safe, I mean, while in a vacuum, I guess someone can have that conversation about whether 34 is or is not wide enough. It is what Brockton has, and it is compliant with it. There's been great discussion about the stormwater plan, and we are fully compliant with state stormwater standards, which is a 1,000% improvement than what's there now. And just the comment about life and limb, I don't think this is a dangerous project. This is as vanilla and run of the mill as a project gets. And but for the fact that a portion of it is in Bridgewater, I don't think there'd be anything very controversial about this plan. Right. So it poses some logistical issues, but I don't think this is a project that is endangering children in life and limb.
Okay.
That said, I also want to make clear, the court did not impose these two lots in Brockton upon Brockton unwillingly. This was an agreement by the planning board and the owner to those concessions. So I think that's an important distinction to make here as the municipal residents on this call and the elected officials are looking at this. You know, Brockton wanted, or was at least willing to negotiate on those terms. We'd be more than happy to look back on that and propose some you know, a building on one or more of those lots. I don't know if it's possible, and we have some competing interests here. We don't know, you know, do you want a cul-de-sac? Well, we might not be able to do that, and also, you know, develop a house or in there. You know, it sounds like we're dealing, and I've sat on your side of the board. I don't know if some of the members know this, and I always try to approach these problems that we ask the board members to decide from, you know, what's best for the city. On balance, I mean, nothing exists in a vacuum. So something is going to happen to this project. And while the neighbors and everyone might want a single family home, and while that is one of the options, just, you know, with a site plan, we could get a building permit for many other potential projects that, you know, don't widen the street, don't necessarily address the radius angles, and could have a far greater impact in terms of traffic and congestion that this very reasonable small subdivision presents. So I just like to try to just, you know, very respectfully just push back a little bit on some of these positions, because, you know, while I understand what it's like to, you know, have concerns about what's happening in the backyard, there's nothing before anyone about a cell phone tower either. So I mean, some of these comments I appreciate them, but there's nothing. You know, there's nothing before them on that, and I can't speak to prior projects. But before the board tonight is this project, and you know, I don't think that, you know, there's it's as you know, detrimental to the city as it's being made out to be, because
Thank you, Council.
something needs to happen.
Appreciate you clarifying those issues. I mean, there's a bunch of things to look at here. There's certainly, well, first of all, was there anybody else in attendance that wants to speak on the project? It's a public hearing, so is there anybody else that wants to speak that has something new and different? I think we've heard probably several times the similar comments. So if someone has something new and different, please share it with us. Otherwise, we'll move on. Do you have anybody else, Mr. May?
I believe Councilor Nicastro has raised her hand again. She is unmuted, so she can unmute and speak freely.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. I just wanted to say, to the point that Attorney Ford just made, so then maybe the developer wouldn't have a problem with including among the conditions on the plan that there would be no improvements made to the to any of the land in Brockton, not including without limitation a cell tower.
I don't think we're prepared to agree to any conditions, but again, that proposal rings counterintuitive to the concerns that would just been made on the opposite point, that Brockton isn't getting any benefit. So, you know, it's difficult territory to walk when on the one hand, the argument is this doesn't benefit Brockton, but on the other hand, you want to promise that we're not going to do any development in Brockton. So,
Didn't two abutters express the desire to have houses there in Brockton?
They did, yeah. They did. I think Mr. Bosco, whom I know Jim, I served in the Concom with him. Yeah, I hear the concern. So I mean,
all right. Well, there's some.
If I could, Mr. Pelagi, you know, I've talked to my applicant. I mean, I certainly can't make a promise that we could fit in anything else there or ever, but I mean, we could. You know, he wouldn't have an objection to continuing this, to at least explore those options, to see if we could fit something in there. I mean, I'm not saying we can't. If we can't, we can't. We might come back to you with this exact same plan saying, this is what we've got. Please, you know, take it to a vote. But you know, he would agree to at least the 30 extra days and take another look at it.
I mean, we've raised a number of issues that I think. I don't want to speak for all the board members, but issues that I've raised, and I think Mr. Pena as well. Any other board members have any comments or suggestions, questions? Okay, so we've talked about a number of issues that we'd like to see. For myself personally, continuity is the name of the game. and to come as close as you can into compliance with Brockton subdivision rules and regulations as far as utility layout, whether it's on, you know, as we've talked about now, water, sewer, drain, and the underground utilities, I think would benefit the city. You could also look into those two Brockton lots. I should have spent the time reading that, the court remand. I glossed over it. I've got to read that in detail. Maybe Mr. Ford, you could address, is there anything in that remand that specifically excludes building on those two lots? Is it something that's...
Oh, absolutely. The entire, I mean, one of the major bright line issues, number one, lot 9, as shown on the plans previously filed, blah, 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 will affirmatively and as a matter of record be restricted as an unbuildable residential lot. Which I will point out was, I believe Councilor Nicastro was the chair of the board when that was made. So, I mean, I don't believe that we can't go back and address that. I mean, I don't see why a land court judge would say if the parties who this affects agrees contrary, we can amend the decision to get around the legal hurdles. I mean, this is why we want this process. We want to work with Brockton to make this work for everybody. It's just, we are hamstrung with those constraints, which likewise, under the letter of the agreement, hamstrings Brockton to putting in the subdivision with a road to Bridgewater standards. So this, quite frankly, I think Brockton's getting a number of positive concessions here by re-examining this, and if we can get something through that everybody can live with happily, then I know my applicant would not have a problem with exploring that.
Okay, all right. Well, I appreciate that response. Thank you. So if we covered a lot of items here, and if you want to take some of those things with you back, maybe incorporate them into a revised plan. If nobody else has any other comments,
Mr. Chairman,
yes,
Councilor Nicastro has her hand up again.
Councilor, please. Yeah.
What are you gonna do, huh? Hang on, Craig, I'm nearly finished. I just want to say that I got off the planning board in 2013. I was not on the planning board when the judgment for remand was issued, or when the planning board took it up later that year in 2015.
Okay, thank you for that clarification. Okay, so I think what we'll do at this time, if there's no other comments to be made, and nothing else to be contributed, would someone like to make a motion to continue?
Motion to continue.
Second.
Okay, motion's been made to continue, and seconded. Let's see, by a roll call vote. Where's my sheet here? Okay, here we are. Craig Pina.
Yes.
Reggie Thomas.
Yes.
Larry Hassan.
Yes.
Bob Pelagi, yes. The project has been continued. What do we have for a time frame there, Pam, please?
Well, technically, the governor still has things kind of frozen.
He's been known to do that.
Yeah, however, we have been, this will be 3 months now, I believe, maybe longer. So we would probably ask Attorney Ford to just agree to the continuance and freeze the time clock, at least to that next meeting.
Yeah, doesn't are we talking about continuing to a date certain and that being the issue, Pam? Or
we have 145 days.
Oh, I see. And because of the COVID where, yeah.
And because of COVID, but everything got frozen because of COVID and nothing. So when you filed things, it didn't really count and your clock didn't start ticking. So we're not even sure at this point what the state is doing, but the law office has just asked that we get the agreement.
You have it with bells on from us.
Thank
To
you,
work
Scott.
for the city. Anything for you, Mrs. Gurley.
Thank you, board.
All right. Thank you very much. Appreciate your time.
Thank you, board members. Thank you, Mr. Pelagi.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Have
Mr.
a
Mayor.
good evening.
You as well. Thank you.
Okay, so let's see.
496 North Carey Street.
496
Anybody who is
North Carey
here
Street.
to
Definitive
talk about 496 Carey Street, please raise your hand and I will add you to the panelist list so that you can address the board when the time is right. Mr. Pelagi, the floor is yours.
All right, thank you. So this is 496. Yeah, this is item number 7, definitive subdivision 496 North Carey Street. It's a 2-lot residential subdivision. CLM Development is the applicant. J.K. Holmgren is the engineer. Good evening.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, good evening, Mr. Farrier.
Scott Farrier from Holmgren Engineering. As you said, hopefully I've got a quick one here for you. I know it's been a long night and it's getting close to Attorney Burke's bedtime and he's on after me, so I'm going to try to go fast. What I have is a 2-lot definitive subdivision plan. You folks saw the preliminary plan back in February. You granted an approval with conditions. I'm not sure if you would remember at the time we showed frontage on North Carey Street for both of the lots, but we had a single driveway coming in off of North Carey Street. The board wasn't happy with that and made a condition that we have 2 separate driveways. We made that change to the plan. We went to the zoning board in August and received ZBA approval on the lot that you have before you, creating the 2 lots, lots A and B, each of which have over 40,000 square feet of area. And one lot has 40 feet of frontage, one lot has 50. So that is the definitive lot subdivision that we're looking for as part of your approval process.
All right, thank you. And you got ZBA approval.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Very good. Let's see. So this being a public hearing, does the board have any comments? Okay. Is there anybody in the public? Does anybody in the public have comments either for or against this project? Are you recognizing any, Mr. May?
I have nobody with their hands up.
Okay, so hearing none, I'll declare that portion of the hearing closed. I have 2 comments, Mr. Farrier.
Yes.
Okay, I would like you to, if you would please, remove the 2 notes. You've got notes on each one of the lots. It says not a buildable lot without ZBA approval. Would you in fact have that according to your testimony?
Yes, sir.
Please remove those 2 notes. And then would you please put on the margin of the plan the elements of your ZBA approval, the date, the case number and so forth, so that that's labeled on the plan?
I certainly will.
And then just whatever, and just if you would, just in a couple of words, what relief you got. I assume it was frontage then?
Yes, frontage and lot width.
Or frontage and lot width, okay. So with those
both.
Yeah, with those as conditions, what's the pleasure of the board? Would someone like to make a motion?
I'll make a
Motion to
motion.
approve with said conditions.
Okay.
And second.
Wait a minute,
Second.
wait a minute.
Whoa.
All right, Craig, who seconded that?
Craig made
Larry.
a motion, I think
Larry.
Larry made a second. And again,
Okay.
that's to approve with those 2 conditions. Remove the 2 notes and add the zoning board approval information.
And I assume you want the standard approval conditions
Yes, because
with those added.
he's working in the road, so we know that he needs, yeah,
So,
I don't know, we can have that discussion too. What's his form of surety? Mr. Farrier? Or you can decide that you've got to sit through an appeal period. You can meet with your client and decide what you want to do. You can do the work in the road and be done with it, or you can post a bond, or however he wants to do it. Just let.
Yeah, I'm sure he'll have, I would think he might want to put up one lot so he can get started on the other lot. one lot needs to go through conservation process, so that's, he's probably 2 months out anyways from being able to get going on the, on lot B.
Okay, so he would, I get you, so he would probably start A then.
Right, but I'm sure he can get in touch with the planning office and make
Decide.
those arrangements, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, well, we've got, very good. We have, are you all set, Pam?
The condition relative towards the road work, and I honestly don't know if there are sidewalks on that side of the road. Scott,
There are none.
there are none? Okay, so we don't have to worry about that. The standard conditions for approval, the condition to include, normally the road would have to be ground up and overlaid.
Right.
Or in this particular case, the cuts are far enough apart, so the stipulation that the trenches are filled with flowable fill stays, and then a condition that will leave it up to the discretion of the DPW commissioner as to whether or not he's going to require the road to be overlaid.
In other words, Scott, apparently there's a small window of possibility. I can't imagine because they're separated by quite a distance. But
Right.
there's a possibility that he may require the developer to do from the left edge of the left trench to the right edge of the right trench. That's a lot of road work, but I don't see that happening.
So
I don't know.
rather than make it a condition of approval and having to come back before the board,
Right.
you can make it, we can phrase it so that particular thing is up to the discretion of the DPW commissioner.
That would be fine with us.
Okay, no side. Okay,
We good?
Yes, sir.
are good.
We
Yes,
are good. Okay, roll call vote on the motion. Craig Pina,
Yes.
Reggie Thomas,
Yes.
Larry Hassan,
Yes.
Apalaji is a yes. You're all set.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
See you in a
Good
little bit.
evening.
70 Bank Street. People making presentations for or commenting on 70 Bank Street, please raise your hand and I will elevate you.
So is there a reason they can't see me?
Could I take a 5-minute break right now?
who?
That's me.
Craig needs to take 5. Mr. Chair,
Okay, yes. Do you want to take can we take a 5-minute general recess?
Sounds
You wanna
good to
do
me.
that? You want to do that?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
no more than 5 minutes.
mute your mics when you flush, please.
How do I do that, Lisa? Get me on the screen. No, I don't see it. There's usually something there, right?
You see. Well, how come none of these people can be seen?
Well, they just all went off the screen. They're taking a 5-minute break. I don't want to mute. Oh, start video. There we go. Okay, thanks.
Just want to remind you, Scott, your mic is hot, so careful what you say.
Good thing I didn't say anything about you, Rob.
We need to move quickly. We may lose a member.
Uh-oh. You mean through fainting or something?
No technical difficulties.
Oh, he didn't pay his phone bill?
I bought the wrong charger. My laptop doesn't have a charger right now, phone.
Uh-oh.
Oh, see, I wasn't gonna rat ya.
That's all right. I'll take responsibility.
They would have blamed me.
We are all back.
We're ready.
Okay, let's go. Okay, so item number 9 is a preliminary subdivision. It's at 70 Bank Street. It's a proposed 2-lot subdivision. The owner representative is it Jason Barros, and Outback Engineering is the engineer of record. Good evening.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. My name is Greg Logan. I'm a senior project manager for Bluestone Construction. Mr. Jaros approached us about having a secondary house put on his property. So we went down and we hired Outback Engineering. Came out, it's a preliminary set of drawings for this piece of property which you guys have in front of you. Mr. Jaros does reside at the 70 Bank Streets. He purchased the property in 2011. The property is an existing 2-family home, which was built before the local zoning bylaws. Jarrison and his wife and mother-in-law and 3 children live on the first floor, and his mother and father live on the second floor. Jarrison works out of town, as well as does his wife. And what's going on in the latest is, as of the last year, mom and dad are in their 60s. They live on the second floor and having some health issues going on and struggling getting up and down the stairs. So Mr. Jarrus proposed to try to put a secondary plot on the same plot and have his sister, which lives approximately 40 minutes from Brockton, move in to take care of mom and dad. And it's pretty much what we're trying to do right now. There was another subdivision on Box Street back in 2008. It was approved on August 15th. It was project number 7-233-783. It's plot number 47. It's a similar situation with the property, showing the frontage, square footage, things like that. And that's pretty much where we're at, sir.
Right, thank you. Is there any members of the public here that would like to speak? This being a public hearing, is anybody here would like to speak in favor? Is there anybody that would like to speak in opposition? Do you see anybody there, Rob?
No, sir, no hands.
Okay, are there any comments on the part of the board? This is a preliminary plan that I assume is going to make its way to the Zoning Board of Appeals.
Yes. Like I say, it meets the characteristics of the neighborhood. There's some plots smaller than what were proposed, and there is some that are larger as well, sir.
Yeah. Any comments on the part of the board?
My only comments is, especially going before the ZBA, there's only 65 feet of frontage. Where's the driveway proposed to be?
It's on, oh, you don't, it's on, he's got a very well detailed plan there. He's got a blow.
Oh, I see it, yep. I just had to scroll the screen over.
Yep. And he does meet all the yard setbacks. I assume, sir, that that's a proposed single-family home?
Yes, it is, sir.
Okay. I mean, it looks like he meets all the setbacks. Any other comments on the part of the board?
Just to, no, Mr. Chair, notation about it does make it a non-conforming lot, right?
Oh, it certainly does.
The house
By
was
doing
built,
that, right?
the house was built prior to zoning it. The entire process, the whole plot existing now is non-conforming to your standards.
Right, and now you're, just for the record, you're going to create 2 non-conforming lots.
Correct, which they've done right down the street as well. On a similar situation, I think they had 5 more feet of frontage per plot.
Right. Well, I mean, not that it's our purview to hold a zoning hearing, but you're aware that the temperament of the zoning board in the last year or year and a half is that they no longer look favorably on these I don't want to speak for the zoning board, but that's typically, they don't look favorably on these smaller lots. The one thing I will say is that looking at your plan, which a lot of these don't have, you've demonstrated on this plan that the lot that you're creating is somewhat consistent with the lots in the neighborhood.
Yes, sir.
That's one thing that the zoning board would want to see if you're going to be at all successful. And I'm going to be careful not to speak for the zoning board, but at least that's in your favor, that if a variance was granted, one of the other stipulations in 48 chapter 6 is that in addition to you having to provide a hardship, is that the grant of a variance doesn't derogate from the existing zoning bylaws as it applies to that neighborhood. And it looks like your lots are reasonably consistent, especially with the ones across the street. So anybody else have any comment?
I just want to point out that when you send these on, that the zoning board is assuming that you are approving this.
Well,
So if there's any conditions or stipulations or anything, you need to do it now.
Mr. Pena, do you have any comments on that?
Other than it being a small lot, it does match the lots directly across the street, which is in favor. It speaks in favor of it. I really have nothing to add.
I mean, I because of this particular situation, this individual situation, myself, I think he's got, I wouldn't say it, he's got a reasonable case to get a variance there when I look at the big picture here, so to speak. I want to be careful not to speak for the zoning board, but you've demonstrated that you, in creating these lots, that you have lots of similar size. I think between the unspoken agreement between planning board and zoning board is that this is a tool that you're going to use to go before the zoning board with no guarantees or no intentions. I mean, no expectations. Let's put it that way.
Like I said, the one right across the street, that if you're looking at the actual drawing that I had submitted to you folks, I believe it's number 77 Bank Street, and across from the drawing, that is a fairly new house that was just put up in the years of 2000. Similar idea, small frontage, small yard, everything like that. It's either, I'm pretty sure it's 77, but it might be 75, but one of those are brand new homes that was just done in the year of 2000. And so, like I say, it does meet the criteria of the neighborhood. We tried to keep the lots equally. And then, like I said, I do have something similar that I can show, like the project number and approval when it was done in 2008 for lot number 47 on Bank Street. That was approved for something very similar. However, they had 5 more feet of frontage per lot.
Okay. I mean, you're creating 2 small lots.
Yes.
What's the pleasure of the planning board? What do you want to? Does someone want to take an action?
Motion to approve.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, there's a motion to approve and a motion to second. On the roll call, Craig Pena,
Yes.
Reggie Thomas,
Yes.
Larry Hassan. Larry?
Yes.
Bob Pelagi is a yes.
Yes.
All right,
Gentlemen.
thank you.
21 Union Street. Those representing 21 Union, please join the group of panelists. And so Mr. Logan and Mr. Barros, you can go, unless you want to stick around for the rest of the meeting, you're more than welcome to log out.
No, I'm very good. Thank you, sir. I'll see you guys later.
Okay. This is, Okay, this is,
That wasn't bad at all.
okay, preliminary subdivision plan.
Now our next move
Union
is the
Street.
zoning board, so I'm gonna call them tomorrow.
Mr. Logan,
Mr. Logan, can you mute yourself?
If anybody can approve a bucket, that go and come back to them. But as long as nobody does it, today is the 2nd, so on the 21, it'd be the 9.
I will remove him. He is gone.
Okay, good evening, Mr. Farrier.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman. Scott Farrier again from Holmgren Engineering. What I have for you tonight is a preliminary subdivision for Plot 9, house number 21 Union Street. The applicant is Joe Tavares. He hopes to subdivide the property for the owners, Ernesto Montero, who is actually his father-in-law. Mr. Montero has owned the property since 1987. We're looking to divide the lot into two 55-foot wide lots. Each of the lots would have about 6,500 square feet of area, which would meet the requirement for this R3 zone. We're just short on the frontage. So we're looking for a preliminary approval so we can go to the ZBA and hopefully get relief to build the two-family home that we're looking to build on Lot B. Similar to the case that you just had before us, we've got lot sizes and uses in the area about the same, 7,000 square feet to the right, 10,000 square feet to the left, 2 families and 4 families and a 3-family in the neighborhood. Goddard School is directly across the street. And just another point of information, this property was and had been 2 separate plots and were combined in 1954 into the one plot that it is now. So it's been sold as one plot since 1954 and in 1987 when Mr. Montero bought it.
Were they two lots of record?
Yes.
Excuse me, Mr. Chairman, I think we lost a member.
Uh-oh, the battery died?
Yes.
Oh, boy.
Poor Reggie.
Poor Reggie, as long as
You
Reggie.
gonna call back from his phone?
He'll call. You won't call?
Yeah.
No, you still have quorum, so.
We still have quorum.
Yeah. Any comments on the part of the board?
Again, it's just one of those things where, they're non-conforming lots, but I understand the history, what Scott had just mentioned, which I didn't know about. It was originally 2 lots, Scott. At one
Yes.
point in time, they were combined.
Yep.
And on Union Street, they're all multi-families and they're looking to build a 2-family, correct?
Yes, sir.
So,
Correct.
Yeah, it would be.
I'm not on the zoning board. I don't know how they look at it, but I think if nobody's opposing it in the neighbors and another 2-family.
It's definitely not
over
different
there,
from any place else in the neighborhood.
Yeah, it would fit. So that's just my only comment.
I wish we had some more information. I mean, I know you can't produce it on the spot. You've got the Goddard School and across the street,
Yes, sir.
and then you've got. It's too bad you don't have the surrounding lot sizes to kind of reinforce your point here about. lot size.
Well, I do actually, Mr. Chairman. I've got 7,400 on the lot to the right, 10,000 on the lot to the left. I don't have the properties behind that front on Main Street there. Yeah, on Main Street in Martin Place, but
What is that?
the 2 direct abutters.
And does our zoning board of appeals liaison, that would be Mr. Peanut, does he have any comment?
No, I think the design, the lot plan is pretty consistent with the rest of the neighborhood, and it's, I mean, adding a new house to the neighborhood would be nice, because that's a neighborhood of far older buildings.
Right.
Personally, I think it'd be an improvement to the neighborhood.
And is that a vacant lot right now, Scott?
It's Mr. Montero's side yard, essentially.
It's a side yard.
Right.
Do they have parking? Will they have,
We have a driveway on either side of the house.
and they'll be able to park 4 vehicles on each?
Yes.
Well, these only required, let's see, what is the ordinance?
No, 2-family and 2-family, so he wants a two-family on the new lot.
Right.
Yes, how many bedrooms per unit?
It's already, I think it's a 3, isn't it, Scott?
3?
Yeah, the existing house is a 3-bedroom, but there's a 2-car garage and, I don't know, about 80 feet of driveway that goes all the way up the house, so they can fit 10 cars in there, well, not 10.
Okay, and as long as the other one will be able to park 4.
Right, we've got 4 in the other one, 2 in each driveway.
Yeah, it looks like you've got the parking.
Right.
And again, we're making no
No guarantees.
no guarantees.
There's a 2-family at, I'm looking at the assessors map. There's a 2-family on 33 Union Street. They've got only a 4,000 square foot lot.
Right.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's consistent with it. It is making a conforming lot, but.
Right. And again, we do meet the area requirement is only 5,000 square feet.
So the only thing, what you're looking for specifically.
Two-family?
I'm sorry? So what would be the relief? What's the relief that you're looking for, Scott? Is frontage and area?
Frontage and lot width.
Frontage and lot width, not area.
Because that lot width requires 125 feet at the setback.
And
It's R3, yeah.
And like with the previous applicant, you're aware, I know you're aware that the zoning board has had a change of view on these small lots. You know that.
Yes.
Well, if there's no other discussion, is there any other discussion on the part of the board?
No.
I'll close that part of the hearing. Would someone like to take action?
Motion approved?
We have a motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, roll call vote. Did we get I lost
Reggie.
Reggie.
Reggie's not back.
All right, roll call vote. Craig Pina.
Yes.
Reggie's not with us. Larry Hassan.
Yes.
Bob Pelagi is a yes. Well, good luck.
Thank you, folks. Good night.
Good night.
49 Keswick. 49 Keswick. Matt, that's got to be you because you're the only one left.
All right. I'm just trying to catch up, Let's see.
All right, good evening.
Evening.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Good,
I
thank
can.
you.
All right, so let me just read the agenda. The 11th agenda item is a preliminary subdivision plan. It's property is at 49 Keswick Road. It's a 3-lot residential subdivision. Attorney Matthew Costa. Good evening, Attorney Costa.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman and members of the board. My name is Matthew Costa, and I'm an attorney representing Clementine Macrina, the owner of this property. So Mrs. Macrina, she has been an owner of this property since 1958. So she's been an owner and she resides there for 62 years as of now. When she purchased this property, it was 4 lots, but since then the property's merged for zoning purposes. And so in order to redivide the property, an approval is needed from this board as well as the Zoning Board of Appeals. So what's shown on the plan is her existing property being subdivided into 3 lots. Lot 1 would contain her existing single-family dwelling and be located on Keswick Road. It has 140 feet of frontage. And then lots 2 and lot 3 would be on Marsden Street, and those each have 7,000 square feet of lot area and 70 feet of frontage. And it's not shown on this plan. I could share what the assessor's map looks like, but part of the reasoning behind lots 2 and 3 is that they are very similar in size to lots all throughout this neighborhood. And so there's single-family homes on similar sized lots all along Keswick Road, Marsden Street, and throughout the greater neighborhood. So her lot, as it exists now, is much larger than all the other ones in the neighborhood. And I've I've heard the board's comments on the past couple of preliminary subdivision plans. There's a similar concept at play here, is that we believe that these lots, although they're undersized, and we'll have to present our case to the Zoning Board of Appeals, that they have the benefit of being extremely similar to lots all throughout the neighborhood. So that's basically what we have on our plan.
All right, thank you. Is there anybody here, being a public hearing, is there anybody here that would like to speak in favor from the public? Is there anybody that'd like to speak in opposition? You getting any response, Mr. May?
No, the room is empty.
Is there any comment on the part of the planning board?
I do want to say that most of the parcels that are on Marsden, where these new lots will front, are generally in the area of 80 or less. The smallest one that I'm seeing right now is 55 feet of frontage. I see some 50s and some 80s, so it's in the ballpark.
So in other words, from what I wish these plans would show, especially where they're looking for variances on these very items. We don't have the benefit of that. We don't know what the area, what the lot sizes are in the general neighborhood. But you have access to the assessor's plan?
Yes, I have it up on the screen right now.
Okay, and you're suggesting that the lots in the general area are of a similar size?
Yes, they are, sir.
I think, well, I mean, I'd be curious, and again, I don't want to turn this into my curiosity sometimes get the best of me. What would be a suggested hardship? I mean, I can understand going for one lot. What would be a suggested hardship for two?
Mr. Pelagi, Mr.
Yes.
Chair, I would respectfully leave that to the zoning board to figure out, because it is 8:30.
Yep.
And Craig's battery is going to wear out.
Yeah. Well, comment on the part of the board?
Mr. Chair, I was just looking through the assessor's street map too, looking at the square footages of the lots on Marsden, and a lot of them were like 5, and there was a couple of them around 8,000, close to 9,000. So there's some similar square footages on the lots. I don't have it in front of me, that plan, on if there was a difference in frontage or anything like that. Maybe you could read it, or you're better at reading those than I am anyways, but I think the lots are similar for that neighborhood, for the street on Marsden anyways. I'm looking at some of the assessor's street list right now.
Yeah, well, that's similar. That's a similar comment.
But again, it creates non-conforming lots of what the city standards are now. So again, it goes to zoning board. I don't know if that's going to have obviously a difference of opinion.
Yep, and you're aware, Mr. Costa, that again, I'll make the same comment, that the Zoning Board of Appeals, as of late, is tending to get away from these small lots. So even though, I mean.
Mr. Chair, the letter that goes to the zoning board is quite explicit. It says that you have not approved this. You are just allowing them to proceed to the zoning board for relief, and then they will have to come back before you. So there's always the chance that, you know, you may have an issue with it when it comes back as a definitive.
Yes.
So the letter is very specific that you're not approving this as a preliminary.
Right. And we definitely understand that the zoning variances that are needed are an independent approval from this board, and that you know, there's no this is just a preliminary approval of basically where a lot line might go, but really a variance is needed to implement what's shown on the plan.
Yeah, you're going to need, you're creating 3 substandard lots. So, well, anyway, what's the?
I think I think just like the preceding couple cases, we're pretty much just keeping the process going on these. We're not really granting any explicit approval. I don't see any reason to stop the process for them right now.
I agree.
All right, is there an action? Someone like to make a motion?
I'll let Larry make a motion.
A motion to approve.
Second.
All right, there's been a
That
motion.
was so nice of you.
Thank you.
You guys are sharing, I like that. All right. Roll call vote. Craig Pina,
Yes.
Larry Hassan,
Yes.
and Bob Pelagi is a yes.
Thanks, everyone.
All right, thank you. sir.
Have a good night.
All right. Okay, so the last agenda item is executive session. Item number 12, discussion in executive session and open meeting law complaint filed against the City of Brockton Planning Board.
Goodbye. Have a nice weekend. I don't think I should be here.
Oh, all right.
Nobody should be there.
See you later. Bye-bye.
Ed, were you still here?
Yeah.
He was keeping an eye on us.
Okay, come on.
Okay,
Let Bob finish his statement.
once discussion is completed, the meeting is to be adjourned while in executive session. Now, would someone like to make a motion for the planning board to go into executive session?
Motion to move to executive session.
Is there a second?
Second.
Roll call vote. Craig Pina,
Yes.
Larry Hassan,
Yes.
Bob Pelagi, yes. So we are now in executive session.
I am stopping the recording now.